So why is now the best time to buy a home? Stick around through the video and I'll tell you lots of reasons. And this is not a date the rate, marry the home type of sales pitch. I'm just going to tell you the reasons why I think it's the best time possible to buy a home. Good afternoon. My name is Adam Cott and I'm the Rational Investor. Today is Monday, November 13th. I hope you're all doing well and enjoyed your weekend. Little bit of a cloudy day here in Las Vegas, so hope you're having some nice weather. Before I get into today's video of why it's the best time to buy a home, do me a favor before I forget, give a thumbs up, like if you haven't already, subscribe, and by all means make some comments and let me know what you guys think and why you think it's the best time or not the best time to buy a home. I'm also going to put a couple links in the description of how to open an account with SoFi. You can open a checking and savings. They also are going to have some stock accounts and things like that. I use SoFi myself. If you use the link, if you deposit $10 or more, they're going to give you a free $25. And they're also going to give an account that I open with my son, who's 13 years old, a little bit of a gift. I try to teach him about this stuff as well, and he gets super excited when it happens. So I appreciate the support and the kindness and everything else. So let's get into the video. Right now is the best time to buy a home. And why do I think that? Primarily because I always think that. It has nothing to do with whether I think prices of homes are going up or going down or anything. But if you don't own a home that you live in, I always think it's the best time. I think you try to save and put away and do what you can to own your home. Now, that being said, you guys have to make your own decisions on this and not just listen to me. You need to do your own research of what's best for you and your family and not just listen to me. Forgive me, I had to move the camera. It seemed like there was a terrible glare. Um, but really, I always think it's the right time because I think it's good to be in control of your life and the things you have. I think whether it's stock or real estate or anything else, you do the best you can to save your money, put away, and that means investing and not being scared of what's going on with the world and the economies and the wars and whether things go up or down. You just stay within your budget of what you can afford. And I like real estate, and I think owning your home is important, especially if you have a family. It's some security and it builds long term growth. Now, if you're young and you're moving around and you don't know if you're going to be in the same place in a year or two, by all means rent, because renting right now is probably less expensive than owning. But there's a pride of ownership and a lot of things that come into play that aren't just simple math of is it best to own or is it best to rent. It's kind of nice when it's your own place and you care about it and you want to make it look nicer. It's really fulfilling, to actually have your own place and not be renting somebody else's and building their wealth. You're building your own as you're putting away. And I get the math that in the beginning it's primarily interest, but you get some tax benefits as well. But you are putting away. It's not 100% rent where you're paying off somebody else's mortgage. The other thing is, I don't see a big collapse coming. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube talking about it, and they've got a lot of great data points. But the thing is there's a lot of cash on the sidelines too, which means it's going to be different, and we don't have the loans that we had last time. And I think the timing's really good because people are really scared, and there is some good opportunity right now. Typically, this time of year is a little bit slower. We've seen a little bit of an increase of properties come to the market. The Fed's held rates higher for longer, like they've been saying, which has chased some of the buyers out of the market. So if you're in the position and you qualify, you might have some negotiating ability that you didn't have last year or the year before. I think if you find a nice home, you might be pretty surprised that next year, if, and I think they probably will, but I don't want to make any real prediction. But if the Fed ends up cutting rates and you see mortgage rates start to improve, I think people will be surprised. There's not a ton of inventory still, and you might see prices go up. Now, I'm not making that prediction. I don't want it heard the wrong way. I don't make anybody any promises, and you need to be able to afford what you buy. But despite it being like not making sense, it is what I kind of picture. I think inflation was legitimate. And we're not going to go back to a 2019 or 2018. And if we do, there's going to be mass unemployment. It's going to be scary. It's not going to be this position where I have my job, I'm making good income, I've saved this money, and oh, it's so easy to buy. And look, prices are just much lower and much more affordable. Like, I think there's this disconnect there and people's thought process when they see a housing correction coming. If there's a housing correction, we'll have a big recession and people will be in a different position. That's what I don't see. I think that the economy's all right. When I go out, if I go to restaurants, yes, some are slow, but that's normal. But a lot are really busy still. Or if I, God forbid, I go down to the casinos, I can't believe how busy they are. In fact, the Wynn came out with unbelievable earnings and the stock got beat up, which to me, I see that as a good opportunity to maybe pick some up. Now, again, you have to do your own research. I'm not a financial planner. I'm just some idiot on YouTube. So you have to do your own research on that. But I see good opportunities in some of this because there's still a lot of money on the sideline. It's not all credit card debt and the fear of what everybody's saying. People have jobs. And yes, there's higher credit card debt. But if you think about that logically, with things costing more money, of course there's higher credit card debt. People charge things on their credit cards. And if they cost more money than they did 2 years ago, well, the debt's going to be higher than it was. That's just natural. The other reason I'd want to see people buying homes is what I would call renter nation. BlackRock and American Home for Rent and all these other companies are coming in buying up large parcels and big complexes. They've probably slowed down as well with the higher interest rates. But I wouldn't want to be in a position where the only thing available are things for rent. If you look at other countries, housing is really expensive. And maybe since we're a younger country, we're maturing to that point where you have more generational homes where kids and parents live together because prices start to get more and more expensive. In those other countries, rents are still rent. It's even like in Hawaii, where my guess is you're not paying exorbitant rents because the price of the properties are expensive, but the price of the properties are expensive. I could see that continuing to other popular places. I live in Las Vegas and we've had a lot of growth. We've already added two sports teams and there's talk of another one. Now, from what I understand, Oakland's trying to vie to keep the A's there, but if not, we'll get a third sports team as well as the Sphere. And what people missed about Vegas is it's a great place to live. It's not just a casino town. We have nice weather. We don't have a ton of traffic, although we're getting that way. And as these other things get added in, if God forbid they figure out a way to give some incentives to maybe some sort of tech firm to start building some companies around it to add that other layer, well, we're just a growing town with good weather. Uh, I grew up in New York and then I lived in Chicago. And if I had my choice, I would way rather live in a warm climate area. And the dry weather, once you get used to it, we don't have mosquitoes and all these other things that weren't so wonderful when I lived in New York or Chicago. The humidity is the worst. And that thing that they say about the dry heat, it's kind of true. It's hot, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel the same as when you have humidity like you do on the East Coast and stuff. So I see some real things going on here that are going to make the prices go up. And as you have an influx of people coming from California and a limited amount of land and an inability to grow just outwardly and have zillions of homes, I see the prices continuing up in the long run. Sure, in the short run, we've had a correction. Sorry, forgive the background. I'm having solar put in. We've had a correction, and maybe we have a bit of a bigger correction, but that's why I see now as being the right time. I don't know that we're going to have any big collapse. So if I see the opportunity that we have a bit of a correction in pricing, to me, that's a good opportunity to maybe get a good deal on a home. I don't know that we'll see a situation where the math starts to make sense like it used to when the rates were low and you could get in really cheap on a monthly basis and be able to rent it out for more. There's value to owning a home where maybe it just doesn't make mathematical sense the way that some of the people who've been watching it for the past 10 years would expect it to. And if you stay in budget, it shouldn't matter anyway. Buy something you can afford, and don't overstretch so that you don't run into a position where you run into trouble. Maybe you can't buy your dream home, but you buy a starter home just to get in. I would say that with putting your money into anything that has potential for growth. So anyway, I'm going to keep today short because, like I said, I got the solar being put in and it's distracting a bit. So do me a favor again, thumbs up, like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.